Good afternoon and welcome. So this is going to be a super intimate reading between CavanKerry Press, which is a New Jersey-based press in business for about 20 years. Coming up next year, we're about to publish our 100th book in March of 2020. And it's going to be a reading with Brick City Collective. Brick City Collective is a group, right now just a solo person as I wait for my partner to get here, but it's a group of artists, activists, educators, teachers, trying to bring the voice of what Newark really is about to that community and further communities. So I thought it was a good idea as one of the Brick City Collective members to have CavanKerry Press read in Newark for the first time. I was really wishing that it was a bigger audience, but because of how art festivals turn out, sometimes the intimate readings are a bit better. What I wanted to do something fun in lieu of that, I wanted to do something called a flowetry reading. So this is something that Tina and I thought about together. So one person is going to read a poem, and then the next person reads a poem inspired by the poem that came preceding. So hopefully what's going to end up happening, you're going to see a bunch of nervous poets in front of you, shuffling through the paper, trying to find the right poem for the right situation. Then all they do is raise their hand or give a nod, and then they're able to talk. I know both of you were working at a bookstore, owned a bookstore, so if you have any poets or poems within those books that you just read or on your minds, you'll be able to come in before you leave also. Okay, if not, you can just watch. I always want to give that option. Maybe Jonathan's going to come and give us a sonnet at some point. So we wanted to do rock, paper, scissors, right?
Yeah.
We're going to start with rock, paper, scissors.
I have a poem about rock, paper, scissors.
But then she had a poem about rock, paper, scissors, so I think it's a good time to start with the poem about rock, paper, scissors and just see where we go from there.
Okay.
Cool?
Okay.
And Paula just got here, yay! So Paula, I just gave the rules to the flowetry reading already. This is kind of the same thing we did yesterday. Tina Kelley is all the way on your right. Danny Schott is next to Tina Kelley. You will be right here, and then Dimitri Reyes, myself, are right here. So then we'll start after that. So Tina, whenever you want, you can start reading. Yeah.
Do you want me to stand or?
You can stand or sit. It's so intimate. Like just.
I think I'll sit.
Yeah.
Get my necklace, my glasses.
I don't think you need a mic either, right?
I don't know. Can you?
Okay. Y'all good? All the way in the back. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Which are you and who wins? Do you have little white dog syndrome, where badness in small creatures is considered cute and thus perpetuated? Can you list what you learned by being a parent to a son? Paper or plastic? Salt or fresh? Rock? Are you the type who looks upstream to the bridge? Do you think sometimes, I don't know if I'm faking it, all of it? Are you a prosopagnostic? No memory for faces. Paper. Did the secondhand fortune cookie tell you you're an okay person? Did you then get mad at corporate food and eat all the candy hearts without reading them? Can you be sad near a mariachi band? Scissors. So the short smashes the spiteful, but is covered by the dim. The foggy covers the firm, but is cut by the disheartened. And the despised cuts the hopeful, but is smashed by the dense. And at the end, it's all chance and watching the split second before.
Okay, so did anyone get one?
Who's got one?
I saw you flipping.
I think I can do one. It's sort of from a line. The fraud is afraid he has nothing left to say. Fears he has written the same poem 72 times. Thinks in cliches, then tries to erase them from his verse. The fraud has the heart of a lamb, ambitious beyond his talents, aspired to be remembered as a minor poet of the postmodern era, scared his students know how much he doesn't know about grammar and structure. The fraud attends readings and lectures by leading literary lights and wonders, what if? Wonders if students pity him for abandoning dreams of greatness for the safety of a steady job. The fraud chooses his daily outfit, wears a smile on his face, walks out the door of his almost paid-off house, ready to meet the world again today.
Awesome. All right. I got one about fakes. All right, so this one is actually with the idea of like fetishizing where you're from. I'm Puerto Rican, so growing up, I kind of wanted to just be American, and I kind of wanted to not think about my Puerto Rican identity, but that's something that kind of never escapes you. So this is kind of a poem, kind of fetishizing what I think the island is like. And this one's called Made in America. I thought they would be of real wood, the kind with splinters. That this item from its birthplace across an ocean would come with an authentic flag carved into the handle as if it was sliced right out of the tree. Each instrument cured by the scent of café con leche. I look at this UPS box as if to ask, why aren't you wrapped in enough tape to be waterproof? Because I'm sure you traveled across oceans like a message in a bottle. It had no certificate of authenticity. Instead, this maraca was made by hands who pulsed to the pace of manufacturing novelty musicas. Enough to afford a jibarito hat, enough for endless chicken feed to throw the way it's depicted in that one mural in that one legitimate Puerto Rican restaurant. I can only blame the Bermuda Triangle for the disappearance of such paper, but it won't justify it etched in plastic. My instrument will shake with the sound of an Anglo percussionist caricature, my American tongue, a poquito, poquito, suave, suavecito fabrication that silica gel packets cannot hide behind maracas or my mouth. I will not be taken seriously during Hispanic Heritage Month, even when the pain of my flag begins to crown the crackle of speech between my teeth.
So I'm Paula. I'm Portuguese American, and this is sort of a poem about being double frauded by the American dream, and also by trying to take that dream back. It's called Burning Busaco. Busaco is a national forest in Portugal, and as often happens with our California, in the summer there are often a lot of wildfires that burn a lot of acres. So that's kind of the central figure here, Burning Busaco. I went to visit my father in the foothills at the villa he bought after 20 years overseas. Finally, after all of it, the spacious, well-appointed rooms, pristine kitchen, gleaming walls, time in his hands. This is how one lives in the museums of the imagination. 20 years overseas, but time passes and counts for everything. 20 years elsewhere, counting change that he now spends like water. But it's summer and the mountains are dry. Someday they will find a cure for what ails us. Until then, he spends his days like a general, pacing the terrace that so generously embraces the whole of that house. What views in every direction, each longing dispatched. What isn't possible when there's time enough? Perhaps they've already found a cure for what ails us. Down below, at the foot of the garden, the pilgrims returning from a new miracle stop for lunch and a rest. They don't even know that they have. It takes just one ember, one reckless thought, one open passion to blaze the museums of this perfection. Smother it and go, or else we won't have time to redeem our indulgences. Meanwhile, the old man, after having paid a third of his life to live his dream, spends the afternoon pacing the terrace. Sun without world, wind without breath. You don't even see the flames racing towards you.
Okay, so at this point, anyone can jump in.
We have to jump out.
Okay.
You, though.
Thank you so
We're
much
glad
for
you
coming.
kidnapped us. It's perfect.
Oh,
Really,
you're
thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I have the immigration.
Sure, yeah.
This is called A National Monument Crosses Over. Forget about it, mother of exiles muttered, rolling 36-inch eyes, dropped her torch, hiked her skirts, stepped over to Jersey. With her stride, 3 hours to Niagara Falls, Canadian side. Seydou Mohammed had a rougher trip. In a 10-hour slog from North Dakota, in snow waist high, frostbite took his fingers off. He feared deportation from Minnesota to Ghana, where, because he loves both men and women, they'd kill him. Thin gloves. God blessed Canada with good people, he said, refugee from the land of the free, land I once loved. So it's no wonder Liberty Enlightening the World, her full name, could no longer bear the inscription asking for homeless and poor masses. She turned her francophone sneer and her back to hypocrisy, headed up Bellevue Avenue, past Parsippany, over the Poconos, across the southern tier, into the embrace of Justin Trudeau, who tweets, "Diversity is our strength. Hashtag welcome to Canada. We have more Sikhs in our cabinet than India does. We don't do sweeps." An empty granite pedestal in Upper New York Bay. Since when are we the people others must escape?
I come from a family of immigrants, so I got a lot of poems. But I'll read this one. It's called Shot Family Values, and it's stuff that my parents have told me over the years, but also extended family. Okay, passed down through generations. 1, you can't fool a shot more than twice. 2, don't ask for much and you won't be disappointed. 3, may your children grow taller than you. 4, the penis. If you don't use it, you lose it. 5, avoid Germans, especially doctors, butchers. Take notes. 14, 2 may keep a secret if one of them's dead. 15, baseball is a metaphor for any aspect of life. He or she who says otherwise is uninformed. 16, religion is the last refuge of the damned. 17, in the words of philosopher Red Auerbach, think Yiddish, dress British. 18, listen with your eyes. 19, never look into an open casket, especially if occupied. 20, avoid the word always, always, and never to. 21, never forget.
So, Danny, can you tell us just a little bit about your background?
Basically, I'm the son of 2 German-Jewish immigrants. My father came here earlier. He came into the United States in 1928. My mom came here in August 1939. She came here when she was 19 with her 15-year-old brother. What she left behind was her son, her parents, and everything else. On September 1st, the Germans invaded Poland and the borders clammed shut. So she lost everything. My parents met here in the United States, in New York. So basically, my mom's a refugee, and I guess my father is an immigrant.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. All together, or?
Yeah, I do. This is also sort of similar themes. It's about, I guess, starting to become aware and rebel in some ways against the expectations of where you're from. It's called 11th Birthday.
Hey, would you mind if I give you the mic just so we can pick it up?
Yeah, sure.
Gabriel, at this point in time, if you want to pull double duty and you want to join us as a poet, I do not mind.
Please do.
Yeah. Just make sure you're in the frame so we can get that awesome.
Yeah, we may have to just slide the chair over.
I'll check to see if Jonathan, if you find a poem somewhere.
That's much better.
No, I said if you find a poem somewhere. Gotcha. Is it on?
Yeah. 11th birthday. They are all here. Neighbors, cousins, mother's co-workers, crimped in polyester on the plastic-covered couch. Their children with their hands on everything. Badly educated, as Mom would say, except on special occasions. To impress them, on my 11th birthday, I sit at the piano, the one Ma bought after 2 months of Saturday shifts, from Maria March, because her daughter Diana After just 1 year of learning herself, started giving lessons and outgrew it. Voila, go on, play as something understandable, they urge, instead of all this jangling. Then tell your sticky-handed brats to leave, I think, when Diana, already a lady at 12, takes her place beside me on the bench, turns to the last page, and starts the count, quieting them instantly. Surprise, I clank through my own happy birthday. Diana hums to keep the beat, futilely, as everyone sings it in their keys. How long this lasts, I'll never remember. Meanwhile, the food waits on the table we never use. Wonder Bread, ShopRite Cola, yellow buttercream cake from Petit Muge, decorated in cursive thin as veins, from which those little fingersmiths have already swiped the day. Apart from this, there are the staples, potatoes, rice, the deep-fried cod fritters they all call balls, which, if I look at Diana now, would make me titter, understanding as I am how concerned they all are with appearances. So instead, I hit a wrong F sharp on purpose and offer it to Diana, whose conducting never wavers, as small revenge for playing along with our mothers, who wouldn't want us to misrepresent why at other people's houses we get the stare of death if we dare to entertain a yes when we are offered anything.
Now that we're on camera, we have a chance to start talking to a couple more people at home. Can you tell us? I think it could be able to hear me. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about your book?
My book?
Yeah.
Am I projecting enough now?
I don't know.
I'll hold the mic.
I will hold the
The mic
mic,
is
yeah.
good.
Okay, about my book. It's called Capricornicopia, because it's kind of a play on cornucopia, the abundance of America, and also because my mother immigrated a couple of days after Thanksgiving in 1967. She was pregnant with me. Capricorn is just a play on astrology, and goats are very hardy, and I remember goats from my grandparents' farm in Portugal. My grandmother was a Capricorn as well. So this chapbook is a lot about the women, focuses more on the women in my family. There's some about my father as well. But it's sort of kind of like a surreal collection, sort of surreal, sort of prayer, sort of working class kind of meditations on my family's background, my experience with them, etc. So, yeah, it came out from Finishing Line Press in 2018.
Okay. Thank you. And all the books that we're going to mention today will be in the comment box on the YouTube video. So if people want to click on the links, they'll be able to purchase your books that way.
Yeah.
Gabriel, what's up?
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. Do you want to add in some of your poetry to the mix?
Yeah, but I was under the impression that it was, one that bounces off the previous one.
Oh, okay. So
I don't
have
know
you been
that
inspired yet?
I don't know that mine is the next step.
Okay. I mean, if it was from anyone, that's cool. But if you want, I'll jump in and then maybe you'll get a different idea.
Sure.
Okay, cool. So this is actually, we mentioned fire so far, the immigrant ideologies, and then now we started talking about grocery items. So I thought this one would be good. This one's called Fire Setting. Only we would remember I was spawned out of that house through hollow corridor, a wet toddler palm print still yolked across its surface. Cleaning hands won't make sense of rubbish. Like we made sense of sepia in old Spanish westerns, our eyes smiling against daylight's glares on a tube TV, and we'd share a same dust, caught through slices of bright, deceiving grandpa's curtains, nor would the excavator trucks hear the echoes of Oscar de Leon calling and responding to the hissing of steam, grandpa's iron clicking when he stood it up. We only knew how to keep tempo by brushes of brooms, by pounding Ajax containers as we shook our hips. The smell of diesel will overtake everything, soft-boiled into an impressionable black. All that be left, stale smells of fire, not the aroma of breakfast. Pan con mantequilla chunks spat out my mouth. My grandpa's secondhand chairs, redwood, stale smell of fire, not the aroma of dinner, Newport, beer, ice cream, steaks frying in mojo criollo. This small house in Newark, once scorched like a sun, wooden paneled guts the color of old trumpets, now rough in color, avocado skin. And I will remember the room where Sábado Gigante played Saturday nights. The blue light reflecting off brown walls, off brown me, off brown him, and that world was burned to be scraped clean by hired hands that won't know which closets had kept towels or power tools. My photographic memory, the last effigy of his work shirts hanging in a closet, the last house to call him renter. And I called him up, Grandpa, your old house is gone.
I have a poem with an avocado, or about avocados.
Avocados,
Okay.
okay.
It's a jumping off point, so, all right.
Avocados are a good conversation starter.
I mean, I didn't used to like avocados, and then I moved down to Texas for 5 years, and that's a good way to learn how to like an avocado.
Wait, someone gave the mic?
Oh, here's the mic.
We gotta learn to project like
Yeah. Puerto Rican households. That was fighting for their voice.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I can project.
That's good.
I don't really need the mic.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
but
fine. Whatever works.
Here we
man.
are. How to savor an avocado. With your hands, cradle its fullness and its weight. Press the ridges of your fingerprints against its small black bumps as it gives itself, but slightly, into your grip. Twist the stem for a green peak within, then halve it. Crescent movement of your knife. Hold the fruit along its newfound seam and repeat your cut for quarters to unfold, lotus-like, from its tender wooden heart. Pinch the corner of the skin and peel slowly, unsealing an envelope. Thumb at rest in the concave of its verdant flesh, 2 fingers arched along its back. Welcome it to your mouth, the secret you repeat upon first hearing until it's part of you. Introduce it to each of your teeth. Let it swaddle the enamel before it ever meets your throat. Like desperately good news, swallow slowly so it will last.
That's how poets eat food.
I do have a poem.
You do?
My poem.
That's okay.
By Robert Pinsky. And this is a poem that came out about 2 years ago, 2017, called Bronco. You may have seen it in New York. It's about immigrants, and it's also about baseball. It covers a lot of territory. It's a ghazal. If you know what a ghazal is, very interesting sort of poem.
Jonathan, it's pronounced guzzle. Yeah?
Guzzle. Maybe guzzle this. Ralph Bronco was the 15th of 17 children. This poem is not the poem of the speaker. His father was an immigrant from Calabria. These words are those of Robert Pinsky, speaking. Bronco wore Dodger uniform 13. Speaking is the punchline of a Jewish joke. Some Romans called Calabrians Africani. Brooklyn had its own daily, the Brooklyn Email. At 85, Bronco learned about his mother. He was 21 when Robinson joined the Dodgers. At 11, I loved Robinson for his daring, running the bases, stealing home, and his fire. Bronco was one of the few who befriended him. I was too young to understand his mission. The fuel of that dancing, to taunt the pitcher, Robinson never forgot Bronco's kindness. What the old man found out about his mother is that she was born a Jew in Hungary, Katie. After he gave up the most famous home run ever, back in the clubhouse, Bronco lay weeping face down. Katie gave birth to 17 Catholic children. The Giants won the pennant, 1951. Bronco means claw, a fit name for a pitcher. His teammates thought it best that he cry alone. But only my dear friend Jackie, who knew me so well, came over and put his arm around my shoulder. The Nazis killed the aunts and uncles Bronco didn't know existed until he was old. 42 in itself, but nothing of a number. The Dodgers traded Bronco to the Tigers. Grief, with its countless different ways and strains. Glory, a greater thing than success, but slower. Some of the Tigers who had been Giants explained to Bronco how the Giants had stolen the signs, from opposition catchers, the telescope in center field, wires, buzzers. Bronco chose not to talk about it. It's Alvin Prager's book. His research unearthed Katie, that was Ann's uncles. The dogs were taken from Brooklyn by their owner. I, Robert Pinsky, choose not to say his name. I didn't live in Brooklyn, but I knew the score. I knew it was a kind of underdog place. Nowadays, once a year, all major leaguers wear Jackie Robinson's number, 42. In the joke, the person who answers the phone at Goldberg, Goldberg, and Goldberg keeps replying that Goldberg is out of the office, and so is Goldberg. Well, all right, let me talk to Goldberg. Speaking, Robinson told Branko, if not for you, he said, we never would have made it this far.
Thank you. Pass the mic. Who is it? Okay.
I got one building off of your handprints on the window.
Oh,
Does
okay.
that count?
Yeah.
It's called First Flight, Just the Two of Us. Little happy dirt ghosts shining, handprints on the airport window, sun streaming through them, knee-high hosannas. Sun proclaiming biblically, the Lord delighteth in thee, thy land shall be married. Come back over here, little guy. I think of all you don't know about airplanes. So you play on glass moistly, worship glare, speed, the fast, heavy lurch up. You are the Friday night of a long weekend, all potential. You're my welcome to the human race, late life sun, jackknife in the gene pool. I'm surrounded by vague fellowship, by the babies I'm not having, now that two are plenty, by the night-swollen passenger list, strangers united by admitting distance and grandma are one. At the fair, holding you, I saw the passel of balloons disappearing in the sky. And this is a poem I could live in, the chosen departures, south to see dolphins arcing, planetary in their roundness, east to new cities, to learn gratitude of body for motion and motion for memory, to hear the harmony of home and away, now that home is full too. I wash your tiny hands, send them clapping.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Tina, can you talk to us about your CavanKerry book a little bit?
it's called A Bloom and a Rye, and it came out in 2017. I have one called Rise Wildly that's coming out, I just learned, October 6th of 2020. So thank you, I'm really excited. And I love the editing process that the press does, and I love the magic stuff they put on the cover because it makes it petable, and the little end flap too, so you can hold your places.
That end flap, I really like the end flap.
It's really
And that embossed CavanKerry sign on the first page.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah. That's what got me.
French flaps. I knew I was using the wrong term. Guzzles.
Danny, were you itching for a poem too? I felt like you were. I might not.
I got lost somewhere along the way, but I'll read them. No, I don't think I need a mic.
I think you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I somewhere got lost along the way, but I sort of heard home there, so I'll read one about a house. And a house in Newark, which is not my own, but that's where my mind stopped working. At Baraka's house, for a party in Newark for Peary Thomas, thrown by my friend Nancy Mercado. Hilton Ruiz, jazz legend, playing tropical, plinkety-plonk waterfall melodies of a distant island on a living room piano. I sit on the floor drinking my beer, talking to Steve Cannon, who is not drinking anymore for today. I try not to stare up Peely's skirt at her red thong panties, what's beneath inches from my eyes as she turns and leans over the piano. My jeans now stretched tight as Peely's bottom winks salutations. I can't get up to mingle with literary icons and revolutionaries, pole pointing north, dead reckoning to object of desire. I sip my beer and think of all the major and minor poets assembled here tonight in Newark, my eyes focused on the floor, thinking, immortality, revolution. Immorality, revolution. Baseball, poetry.
So I'd like for you to talk to us a bit about your CavanKerry book works and all the works that you've been doing to get to this book, because this book is a summation of a very long career of hanging out with a bunch of poets and being a part of the community organizing aspect of poetry. So.
This is my book, works, CavanKerry Press. I'm very proud of it. Looks beautiful. I love the French flaps. Is that what they're called? French? Yeah.
We're all learning today.
Basically, I've been a poet for a long time, over 40 years. I studied at Rutgers, New Brunswick with Alicia Ostreicher. And it's funny, I was just emailing back and forth with Alicia. Oh, she wrote one of the blurbs on the back. And we were just going back, and I think about when I write a poem, my audience, write for myself. But often, Alicia, even though she's older now, she's still my audience, often when, what would Alicia think? Another audience in my mind is Allen Ginsberg, because when I first met him, when I was 19 years old, I handed him this poem I wrote called America's 1976. And it was a dreadful poem. Of all things, I plagiarized Kiss lyrics in the poem. And it was full of all this fake street wisdom that only a 19-year-old can be full of. And he looked at it and said, this board will make a good haiku. And this was a 4-page poem. It's like, you take it home and tell me what you think about it after you read it. And he actually wrote back, and we were friends for the rest of his life after that. That's one of my most valued possessions, is the letter he sent me telling me what to do with the poem. And then I got to read with him a number of times. And actually, I started this magazine called Long Shot, me and Elliot Katz, and the way we did it, the way we got the money to do it, was Allen Ginsberg did a reading with us, and he split the door. He gave us 50% of the door. And that was enough in 1982 to print the thing, and then we collated it in the bathroom and everything. But, so, those are they're not the only two. I have a whole bunch of audience members when I write.
You also were key to bring the book together by Jack Wilder.
Yes, Davina is Davina. Teresa Carson and I edited that book. Jack, actually, can I talk for another minute?
Yeah.
Jack Wilder was a very close friend of mine, and CavanKerry Press poet, but I'd known him for years. And what day is today, the 12th?
The 12th.
Yeah. October 20th will be 10 years since his passing, which is amazing, because I still see Jack around. Actually, I have all his papers in my room. But on October 27th, we're doing a memorial sort of reading in Hoboken at Asira Gallery, just to remember Jack. And we're going to do parts of his play. And Teresa Carson wrote a play that I'm going to act in, a short one. So I'm actually looking very forward to it, but I can't believe it's been 10 years since Jack's died. Thank you for asking
Is
that.
that somewhere?
Yeah, it's on Facebook
And I'll share it.
Sure,
Sharing it after the
exactly.
Newark Arts Festival.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some interesting lithosphere that happens after a poet has passed, right? The idea of having those papers and our papers being a part of us, right? It's kind of like they're still here after the fact of them not physically being here anymore. And I think a poignant part of that is us celebrating those faces afterwards. So it's coming up on a decade already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. And 8 days, it's a decade, yeah.
It's wild.
How is Elliot? Are you still attending his performances tomorrow?
Oh, Elliot lives 4 or 5
Is he still in
blocks from me.
Brunswick?
No, he's in Hoboken.
Oh,
He's in
okay, because I went to Rutgers, New Brunswick. and
Oh,
was in
I did
attendance.
too.
Yeah.
Before you.
Yeah. But yeah, he was big on the poetry scene when I was there.
Yeah, Elliot's my best
Lady.
friend. He was the best man at my wedding,
So I didn't know it was in
Yeah,
Hoboken.
Yeah, we're right here, right?
Oh, Burgundy's close. It's almost Scarlet. Did he have a poem?
Where
Scott. Yeah.
wherever you want
Well,
to
we,
persuade.
Thanks for
there
coming
have been
up.
some food poems.
Thank you, yeah.
There've been some food poems. So this is kind of, oops.
You wanna hold it?
So this is kind of a surreal poem, and it's about hunger. Transcript. It's hunger is one of the things it's about. You remember her face like a postcard from the sea. The faded blue, the drifting edges, the dun background, stiff seagull feathers. Luminescence means you could take for granted again. The unpaired umbrellas still take up twice their space on this narrow strip of Broadway. They crowd me out. I'm almost 42. In the autumn, he disappeared down the storm cellar hatch. The smell of sleep has always haunted us. The elevator opens into the apartment, and the lines that vanish in all of us are dormant seeds in window boxes. The woman who was once your mother's age when secret police asked her what she had to offer should not have stayed in country to set old smoke alight, should not have insisted with eyes of polished copper. How the Maya must have sacrificed their hearts, a new moon on the bone of winter night. He emerged with gallons of new wine, though like the wedding jugs at Cana, they never seemed to run out. Childhood nights, the floor is ceiling, an overhead green-yellow bulb out of a reproduction of the Night Cafe is so bright it might blind, if not that the throat closes so fast it automatically shuts the eyes. Reflection reveals we are only carbon deep, no body to eclipse the space of what's left, to fill the four corners of each year with a room. I'll leave my longing in your house alone. He planted a kitchen garden in the spring. When you close your eyes, will you still see through the crosshatch of shroud the small beauty mark, lime dark mole in the center of the eyelid, covering the sailor's eye I inherited from you? This shiny-eyed sadness is only a reminder. Outside, the summer ache of spiders spins the air. Over friendly drinks, she says, timing is everything, and I reply fractals, the way some people say bullshit, like it was liminal. Could you give me something to eat, he says. I'm so hungry, his windbreaker streaked by mid-November, his cap a half-pulled cork. And I am tempted to respond, sir, we are all hungry, but of course I don't. Tuck my guilt under my arm, my mouth caked dry for lunch.
Thanks for that, Paula. And thank you for those who are coming in. We got Sammy Miranda in the house, all the way from DC. So one of our poets are going to be featured later on. Sammy, if you need the bathroom, it's downstairs. If you exit and hang a left, there's a little cafe where you can go and use the bathroom. If you want to just chill out, you can.
I'll be right back.
All right, okay. So when you come in, when you're hearing whatever poems you want, if you want to come in for the next poem, just let me know, and we can just hang out and kick it for a little bit. All right. Thank you for coming. By any chance, are you a poet at all?
No.
Okay, so you're just coming to just listen and kind of hang out?
I'm just coming to enjoy.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. So this is a CavanKerry Press and Brick City Collective, very intimate collaborative reading. CavanKerry Press is the first 3 seats here, and then over here is Brick City Collective, but then I'm also part of CavanKerry Press, so maybe I should have been in the middle. That might be confusing for our one audience member that came out. But, but you know, we're just hanging out and we're reading together, basically being inspired from one poem to another. So, Jonathan, you mentioned a guzzle, and I actually have a guzzle, and you made the joke of saying, oh, okay, I'm going to guzzle down this poem. My poem is also spelled as in guzzle, as in guzzling down, and this is actually about the Newark water crisis. Hey, don't drink the water, baby. Didn't you see the news? Pencil dust, chip paint, shower steam, brush teeth. There are so many ways it's already in you. While school kids are drinking through 2 water passes before noon from Park to Avon Avenue, conspiring from Flint to Newark and everywhere in between, these pipes are irrigated heavy metal sinews. I'm the first to wake up from the sweat and see you in bed. I'll wonder if this water has the same effect on you. Later, I'll call the super's number after the crack of a pipe trying to change our plumbing for you, where you'll say I'm no handyman, even when you know that I work with these hands for you, like how in a heat wave I'll climb 4 full flights and still won't drink from the sink for you. Because I stood in line for a case of water or free filter and heard some fast talker tell another, son, I'll tell ya, these charlatan pipes clean lead to the back of the head and the quiet of a thirsty pass-through. These days make me cut my t-shirts into coffee filters, to orthophosphate my body, I'll make myself a distillery for you. It'll feel like I'm grasping lead pipes below concrete as I try to fix a city's struggle for you.
There's one right there.
Oh, and it works?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So Sammy Miranda, everyone. That's Gabriel Cleveland, Tina Kelley, Danny Shaw, Paula Neves, and Dimitri. All right. And that's Jonathan Spinner. And your name?
And I'm Jeremy.
Jeremy. Okay.
All right, Jonathan, are you part of CavanKerry as well? You are, okay.
He's a big part of it.
It's a big part.
Yeah. So, anyone else have a poem?
I think kitchen garden.
Kitchen garden poem? We'll probably do one round, and after that we'll just hang out. I got another show at 3 and I'm tired of it.
I read this at the yoga
Is
day,
it Pedro?
so I know where it is.
Shirt.
No, that's Spanish Joey.
Okay.
He's one of my good friends.
This is called Planting Nearest the Prayer. You, new garden, have all the charms of a 7-month-old baby. You sit up and smile, stay where I put you for a few short weeks. You haven't confounded me yet. I haven't fallen behind or failed, or felt regret. See verb, new ambition. See various hopes. What tricks will you do? Attract bees, give me edible blue flowers to freeze in ice cubes. Produce blooms for each room and for hanging from attic rafters, herbs for a summer of dishes, seed heads for finches in the fall. I'm curious, what will thrive and reseed and naturalize? Which will the squirrels eat, the drought singe, the trees overshade? With compost from 3 years of dinners, night crawlers from the bin, not yet severed soaker hose, dug in to bathe roots, you may turn marvelous. My wine, you erase the thump in the gut, turn me capable and desired. I want to visit you, parse the dusk birdsong, feel the spring rinsing, the possibility of jewels ever unmined deep under the ocean floor.
I can tell you guys how delightful this is.
Yeah?
Hearing different voices, avocados, the garden, and moving from school to back and forth.
Awesome.
All of you have a very different voices. Very great. This is good. I don't think the rest of the audience is great.
So the very end of yours, your poem ended at the bottom of the ocean. So I have one that is said there. So if you guys are cool with that, I'll take it from there. It's called Whale Fall, and it's based on a whale fall. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's awesome. It's basically a whale dies after the period of time where it's floating. It waterlogs and it falls to the ocean floor, and it can essentially become a new ecosystem for like at least you have 100-year-old whale or something. It can be an ecosystem for at least 50 years. It's wild and it's really cool to see. It's kind of haunting as well. So this one's Whale Fall. Your hurt's a whale fall on the ocean floor, pain to nourish fresh colonies of thought that spread like coral to replace your lungs amidst your shattered ribs. The 4 chambers of your petrified heart are safe haven to fragile new ideas, glass-skinned eels that withered under the harsh surface light. Sea sponges fill up your brain cavity, absorb each ounce of anxiety and flourish in the warm electric current you steadily provide. Give in and dive deep to the countless acres of your core. You'll find a hollowed out cove in your spine to settle into, then never look back.
sharing who we are. Gabriel, do you want to tell us a bit about what you do at CavanKerry Press?
It would be easier to tell you the small list of things I don't do, but well, I'm the managing editor now. I've done everything in between since I started about a year ago as assistant to Joan, the head of the press, and the publisher and senior editor. So I've been charged now with the process of getting a raw book from one of our spectacular authors. Tina can speak to this because I'm working on hers right now, her newest, which is a great collection, as she mentioned, called Rise Wildly. Coordinating the editing process, the design process, the printing process, the distribution process, all of that is really my core responsibility now. But then, we're a super small press, so Dimitri, you can attest to video editing, some copy editing, all sorts of things, just to help everything keep running smoothly. My big goal is always to make things just a little bit smoother, or as smooth as possible. Because, like I said, when there's only a handful of us, we got to do everything we can. So that's me.
Unfortunately, our card is full, so whatever we ended on Gabriel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did. So
mine might still be recording.
No, it's full.
I have my red one.
Oh, hello, hi, red one. That's right.
It's hiding.
And
right
that's
above.
another thing that he does.
Backup.
Yeah, he's my
Emergency
backup. No one doesn't call.
No, all I have is getting older. She's got
It's kind of deathy. I don't know. But it's got a very deathish.
Oh,
deathy.
Oh, great.
But
Happy birthday, Joan.
well, I mean, the title.
Who would go with getting old? Very kind of death.
No, go with. I want to hear this.
Hey, it's okay. The title's for Joan. The deathy part is not for Joan. And this is from Rise Wildly, which is not out yet. The birthday bell tolls. I had the happiest birthday ever. 2 days after my dear one's awful news. All my thoughts held new words: resection, alopecia, neurasthenia, progression, protocol, portacath, immunocompromised, palliative. But sledding with the children down Library Hill, I saw the trees moving fast, dusky, smooth, cinematic. I squealed, heard laughs and barking, and all I wanted was what the baby wanted, more again, and I could comply. The bourdon, the largest, deepest tone in a carillon, determines its character, like the drone in a bagpipe, continuous low note all others build from. This man was 11 when his father died. His wife's parents beat her often. That one's mother moved away mid-childhood. He grew up with a very handicapped brother, and we all keep living. Our songs turn minor and dissonant. Our songs weave themes we never would have chosen. We hum them anyway, often others join in, harmonizing. I've always feared the dark, loved the nightlight, squinting at it, watching iridescent patterns from one speck of brightness, company. I hate the mechanical Santa, I hate the beige hospital walls and commercials. If I were dead in deep night and could see them only once a week, they'd be my bliss. Some birthdays I've grasped at slipping fertility, worried about gray hair, a bigger bunion, or why my eyelid keeps twitching. Now, as I skate with healthy, unbalanced, vertical, free children, I feel the illusion of, perhaps, the gift of, yes, as yet unnumbered months, the greatest imaginable present.
I have a short deathy one.
Okay.
It's short. Inevitable. Do you know Irv Feldman? Asks the homeless man in front of 7-Eleven. No, I reply. Why do you ask? He died. I'm sorry, I reply. He was an old Jewish man, a good guy. Sorry to hear that, I say. You remind me of him. Sorry to hear that. Paula?
I put a birthday poem already, the 11th birthday.
Oh,
great.
yeah. Okay.
There's already one.
Oh,
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah. All right, cool.
So,
Sammy, do you want to warm up too? You wanna... Yeah, get a poem out, buddy. We'll add you to the mix.
Billy Collins once said all poems are about love and death.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm surprised we didn't hit love yet.
Yeah.
Well, I got my Poppy poem. So
I
it's
can
like
do
kind of love
it.
poem.
I can read it from the top.
Oh, there you go.
You can swap with me because I have to go refill my meter. So.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Take a seat, poet. Tell us a bit about your book too.
Yeah, it came out this year.
You think you're gonna need a mic, Sandy, so we can pick up? Nah, you're good,
I'm
right?
the son of a minister and a teacher.
All right.
So my grandfather collected everything, right? He never threw anything out. And he had all these letters that my grandmother wrote to him through World War II. And when he passed, I got them all. They were on loan from my aunt, she says, but she hasn't gotten them back. So this is while waiting on a letter. I write to you to find out about a man whose letters are missing. Monday after Monday, an empty mailbox weighs on me and adds to my nervousness. Tell me something of the man I wish to see, even if from a distance. The man whose memory I trace, conjuring his presence or drawing a death colored in departure.
I have one on homelessness that I wrote like last week. It's still pretty raw, but I heard it was okay, so I'll read it again. Untitled. A positive attitude means all the difference in the world if you decide to give that sis a bottle of water instead of a coffee. She sits at the same spot under the bridge in her camper chair, blue, although I'm sure she'd prefer a brighter orange, the color of the sunrise as she sees it every morning. Sometimes it's the glow of the sky, absent of its globular eye. Sometimes she may feel like the sun in those moments as she repeats John 16, Bible open, her index finger on a Deuteronomy under a freeway pass. The gust of a truck moves through her like Holy Ghosts before she motions a T across her chest, remembering the first son.
I'm going to try and project. I'm not I project when I teach, but I'm getting a little lazy on the weekends. This is called Saving the World One Scrimmage at a Time. Antoine de Mella, he who greets with fire in Sesotho, hails from post-World Cup South Africa by way of a grandfather and father to West Virginia. Attended Rutgers playing what America calls football. The scholarship to study econ and pre-med bio, then graduated to found a nearby tech startup. Says, what I've learned, I'll always use it. Does not worry how long to live in Canarsie, Brooklyn, before moving on. Smiles while scoring goals on a Newark riverfront summer afternoon. A pickup with a Spanish-speaking friend who says he's got to run when I start asking too many questions. Who Antoine de Mella later confides is homeless, adds, if you go to Market Street, you'll still see a lot of them. On a polished turf pitch in the middle of a renaissance, he who greets with the energy of the sun declares, I'm not a politician. We are all people. I do what I can.
You need to at least give us a 30-second little blip about that, because I actually really like the story, the background.
Oh, so that was a project you and I were working on. We were working with Tim Raphael of Newest Americans. He's here at Rutgers, and what's the name of that poetry? Poem Quest. They were doing something called Poem Quest, where he wanted us to write some poems, and there was going to be an app involved. Basically, you go to Riverfront Park and you pick up where the poem is located. It's kind of like
Pokemon Go.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's
Pretty much.
Awesome.
So we had to go to the park and kind of observe people, interview people, and so I went there just randomly one afternoon, and there was this young man. Of course, I gravitated to the soccer fields because I love soccer. I play soccer, and there was a young man playing soccer with a friend, and I just wandered up to them and I interrupted their scrimmage, their two-person scrimmage, and I interviewed him for this. I explained what the project was about, and the friend actually did get a little nervous and said, okay, I gotta go. And so it pretty much is, this pretty much did happen, but I wanted to kind of turn it into a comment on the renaissance that's happening, which a lot of what is happening here is great, right? Riverfront Park is an example of that, but there's homelessness is on the rise. Elliot, does he still work with the homeless? He did back when I was there.
Not so much.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a big issue in New York City. It's an issue here.
Yeah.
So I kind of brought all these threads together.
Yeah, it was a really fun project. If I do get time, I might read a poem from that project also. Danny, do you have anything else? Or you want to save your energy for later?
I got lots of stuff. I'll read one more, which has not that much to do with your poem, but comes from the same place, a similar type of project. I was taking a workshop, a one-day thing at New York Historical Society, and then we got a break. Teacher said, just go out and write. And anyway, it's self-explanatory. It's called Before Lunch. Am I the only person in New York who looks at people's t-shirts? I read them and comment, often to the chagrin of the harried New Yorker who has invariably become dumbstruck and quickens their pace away from this perhaps creepy old man who fancies himself a keen observer of the human condition. My wife is often embarrassed by my penchant for starting conversations with strangers over apparent trivialities. I walk through this museum that's technically a historical society filled with Tiffany lamps and silver serving platters, not fertile grounds for the words I want to write today. Out across the street to Central Park, to the cavalcade of messages sauntering and jogging by.
Lamar says, I'm gay and celibate. Celibate, as if it's not hard enough being black and Cherokee and orphaned and beaten up and Southern and gay. Celibate, Jesus. Lamar says, you should give that baby up for adoption, Tanika. Tanika says, give your own damn self up for adoption, Lamar. Simon says, you're too old. Simon says, did you go to your meeting? Simon says, do you need an interview soon? Simon says, you're going to be great. Simon didn't say, Simon did. Little G said, I'm going to the Underwood Hotel. Lamar said, that's just the sand under the boardwalk. Little G said, I don't care, it's home. Simon says, come back as soon as you can. Little G says, yeah, whatevs. Lamar said, little G's dad said, you cost too much to feed. Sound familiar? Lamar says, I am never going to do shit like that to a child, and excuse my language. Simon didn't say it would be easy. Simon says, believe in yourself. Simon says, I do. Little G said, I'm out of here. Simon couldn't say.
And I gotta say, I read that poem in my van because I live in a converted van now. It's like a mobile home. I read that in the van with the light off, and it was a day where it was like 55 degrees, and I was already feeling like how cold it was and how alone you could feel while I was reading that poem by flashlight.
Oh.
Right? So it was an experience, and I was like, damn. And actually, I stopped reading your book after that. I actually closed it. I put it away because I wanted to stay on that poem for the book. I'll finish your book later, though.
There's a quiz at the end, right?
Yeah, there's a quiz at the end. There's a quiz.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sam, you want to hit us with another one?
Sure. I guess I'll keep going with the homelessness.
Sure, yeah.
This is called the Tecata Dances on Park Road. And the Tecata, for those of you who don't know, is a heroin addict. The stained glass martyrs are the only ones who see her dancing. They stare from the windows that imprison them. Everyone else is blind to her nakedness. They cannot see her bare feet shuffling across cement until they bleed out her addiction to these saints who don't judge her skeletal frame. They know Love is thinning when you're strung out on it. She dances in front of the Baptist church so that God can see she's graceful and send her $10. Because she's 2 steps from need and 3 steps from opening up the bidding. In front of the Botanica, the smell of incense and the memory of drumming make her body spasm, as if she's being mounted. She stops dancing, because today, even the gods are gonna have to pay.
Wow. Paula, did you have one?
I have one called Botanica.
Oh, snap.
Yes, this is real flow.
You told me to drive to the Botanica after settling accounts at the bank, because Bruxas might have a tea or a tableau, Our Ladies or another lost book of the Bible. Sango, though not your God, had a mother, and Fatima, by other names, still requires prayer and mortification, though you'd settle for any tap water that could cook plain rice bearable, not that you'd eat it. It's nothing like never would be your arroz amarelo. This isn't a pharmacy I would have barked months before, and now quixotic's still liable to. Why drive half a block to a meter when time, as you say, even now, is still money? And you know I'll be saying that too when the bank sends the beneficiary forms. But today, June 23rd, we still breathe, still believe in alchemies, a genu that casts out the shadows. The Botanica's door was closed. Fachada, your voice said more than you wanted it to. Not a front or a folly, by appointment only. Even saviors are apparently on the clock. We turned. You pushed away my arm. I can walk half a block. Then later, I bought 2 houses, all my cars new, paid your tuitions, and analphabeta, illiterate alchemist, who believed in a shadow I cannot cast out.
I want to save my Botanica poem for later, but I have a Tecato poem, which is actually referring to the big dope epidemic that has happened in the 80s in Newark, and now we're seeing the effect on it about 30 years later, especially within the homeless community. And that's actually a big reason to the fact why the covenant houses and other things like the curas, which are called places like, it's just called cure, so it's like places where you're supposed to go get clean, and also like our La Casa de Don Pedro's, which are just like the House of Don Pedro. Those are all community organizations that try to help the urban youth, those of low-income communities, and people who are addicted to substance abuse. And a lot of that is from the dope epidemic that happened in the 80s. So this one's actually called Wildflower. He grew from different gashes in concrete, always covered in dirt. No one named him, he's nondescript, he's evergreen, weather never killed him. He was a piece of sidewalk sprouted immobile and cracks from dust on windy mornings. He thought standing still will draw others to his wilting. No one helps, but sometimes they fed him his twiggy branches, scratched to pieces by bugs burrowing the broken bark of the invasive eczema arms, animated in his own surrender, and he hated them all. He was an angry preacher crying nectar. He couldn't bear the beating of his sermon, where the sun showed him too clearly, screaming as a kind of release. He continued to germinate on every street corner, continued to starve on what didn't even matter, flitting in the wind, his epilepsy, a body spliced between itself and the world that one day dropped him, but only once. That time he tongued the ground with his teeth and mixed blood with that dust, and he cried, but no one ever heard him, because it's hard to see one flower dying amongst a full meadow. Do we want to end here? Just hang out until later on?
I'm okay with that.
You're okay with that?
That's a good note
All
to
right.
end on.
Yeah, I think so. All right, well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sammy Miranda, Tina Kelley, Danny Schott, Paula Neves. Thank you, Gabriel Cleveland. Jonathan for reading the Pinsky poem. Thank you, audience members, for coming in.
And thank you, Dimitri.
Oh, yeah, and thank you, Dimitri. Yeah. And, I didn't give myself my little MO, but as the marketing and communications director at CavanKerry Press, I actually find it a plus when we can have smaller, intimate readings. I was talking about this with Paula yesterday. It actually lets artists be artists amongst each other. And I know sometimes when we have a crowd, we have the artist mask on, where we have a responsibility to the public, to read to the public and kind of educate the public, but it's really nice when we could just kick back and have a conversation like this. I think it's gonna be really nice to have something like this on the internet also. All right, so if you want to talk to, actually, does anyone in the audience have any questions?
Or poems.
Or poems?
Or poems? Okay.
The Simon Says, I know that was the title, but the Simon Says about youth homelessness and that whole story. I was wondering, you said you had talked to people at Covenant House, I believe. Did you talk with the youth themselves? What was the process that you went through?
I was writing a book about young people who experienced homelessness and been transformed by Covenant House. So I wrote it with the guy who's the head of Covenant House. And so we did in-depth interviews with 6 different kids. And there was an actual kid who killed himself in Atlantic City who's not in that poem, but that was kind of some of the most moving reporting that I did, because I was talking to people who'd known him and how it affected the whole shelter. So he was kind of the star of the book, even though he never appeared more than one page in the book. So it was a lot of interviewing kids who were either going through it at the moment or had gotten out the other end and were doing well, and kids who didn't do as well, because I said, when I started writing the book, I'm not going to make it all success stories, because that's not going to be how it is. It has to be true.
If I could give her some props, besides being a poet, Tina was an award-winning journalist for the New York Times. To see that she was a journalist in terms of how she captures things.
It was a pretty touching, very powerful
Oh, thank you.
poem. And I think what really got me was that visual of little G sitting on the bed talking to the barn.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that really stood out to me the most about the book.
Yeah, I can't take any credit for that, because that was a true thing, that one of the kids was visited by him after